the end of the year, our kindergarten classes were invited by the Mori Building to be their guests at the teamLab Digital Art Museum. teamLab features many interactive, creative zones for children to explore. It's a digital art museum, but it's so much more than that. When the children are inside exploring, each area really comes to life with their imagination. There's areas where they're physically involved in altering and engaging with their environment. There are areas where the environment is responsive to the children as they are moving, touching, playing. They're able to see their artwork come to life, and they're able to see their influence on an environment.
So can you tell me what you liked most about teamLab?
My favorite part of the teamLab was coloring. My favorite part was the swings that you can step up, because you can swing on them and you can climb on them. My favorite part was... Wait, can I think about it?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I think I have 5 or 4. My favorite part was the pink and green thing, and my other favorite part was the wiggly climbing thing, and my other favorite part was the balloon thing, and my other favorite part was the slide.
One of the things that made the museum so magical for our children was how physically active and responsive it was. One area was the slide. The children were able to physically engage in a process of moving things, affecting things, but all the while having fun as they slid down the slide. Another area was the trampoline. With multiple jumps, their black hole would get bigger and planets and space things would move around for them. The balloon room was another area that was really engaging for the kids, because as they went through, things would move in response to their own motion and in response to other children's motions. They were able to touch, push, pull, and see what that response was. And the application to real life is you never act on your own. Anything that you do will have an impact, and things that other people do will have an impact on you. And so through the museum experiences, they were able to experiment and play with that in a very fun way. But it's a learning that will stay with them for a long time.
I liked most about teamLab was when we jumped on the space bubble, and the slide, and the bubbles when they change color. My favorite part was this big slide, and when you go down, it makes a sound. And these balloons can, circle balloons, can change colors when you slide down the slide. So what was it that big slide? I played with things for the swing things when you got to climb around, and the things, when you touch it, it lights up.
At this age, children learn through physical response, physical reaction. And so another area that they found very engaging was the hanging swing area. It was almost like an obstacle course. Developmentally, it tested not only their balance, but also their executive functioning skills as they worked through how they wanted to negotiate the different steps and the directions that they could take.
My favorite part was the room was the frying pan and you could cook, and then there was all this little people, and then we put the house on the wall. There was a house and we put this kind of X thingy and it was green. Then we would make a fire. That was my favorite thing.
One room that really sparked the children's imagination was a room that was hidden off the balloon room. And there was a narrow doorway to go in. And as you walked in, the children started to notice that it was a full environment and a community. There were little creatures walking along the perimeter of the room. And no direction. The children at first started following and watching and noticing. And then they started to pick up different objects that were available to them, ladders, mushrooms, trees, clouds, and place these in different parts. And they were able to recognize what impact that had on this community and on the environment. And as they started to do that, you could see the questions forming in their minds as they, for example, placed a ladder and noticed that the little creatures would go up a ladder. And then the question of, well, where are these creatures going to go? And there were no rules, so they could put a cloud, a tree, a mushroom, and depending on what they placed there, the creatures had different responses. And so through a process of experimentation and then conversation and collaboration, groups of children started to come together to create communities. And when the communities got too big, you started to notice the children would then create an alternative path for these little creatures. And so again, a ladder would come down or a tree, and they started creating, recreating, moving. What that did for the children was help them to realize how they impact the world around them. And it helped them to form questions or hypotheses, act on those, test them, and then move on to their next hypotheses. It was extremely responsive, very creative as an environment, and for the children, very, very inspiring and engaging. We'd really like to thank the Mori Building for giving our children this incredible eye-opening experience. It really brought their learning to life this year.